Morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of A Weekly Spark. I'm doing some backgrounds today with gesso and a little bit of golden fluid acrylic. And the thing that I like best about this is some texture, using a palette knife and having some interesting texture that just happens randomly from the gesso. It's just a Utrecht brand. It's a pretty thick gesso. Not quite as thick as peanut butter, but a lot thicker than some gessos like ranch dressing. So I have a limited palette set out. I'm just going to grab and go. These are going to take a while to dry, so if I prepare them now, I'll set them aside and be able to use them in a future Weekly Spark. So let me turn the camera around and I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, this is the same kind of inexpensive, heavy, medium heavy watercolor paper that I've used in other videos. And again, it is one sheet that I've torn in half. I like this size for the Weekly Sparks because it is big enough to have room to play around with the materials a little bit, but it's also small enough that I can start and finish things quickly, whether it's doing a background that I'm setting aside to save for later, or whether it's coming back in and kind of working on and developing a piece. Either way, it's a size that feels comfortable to me. I also have a sketchbook that's like 5 inches square, so that's a fun size as well. You kind of find your own sweet spot as to what size works for a more spontaneous kind of quicker art journaling session. I'm scheduled to go to my local Jerry's Artorama later this week, right before the holidays, since I am filming this on the same day that I filmed some previous Weekly Sparks, but I'm almost out of gesso. So I do like to use old gift cards and old room hotel key cards from the before times when we traveled more, or even the credit card offers that you get in the mail. I like having a large kind of surface to scoop up and just spread on some gesso. And this can spread things on in a pretty smooth fashion, but I'm going to come back in with the palette knife and move things around a little bit when I add paint. So I'm not even really being careful to get it everywhere on the paper. Might be some nice contrast where there's paper showing through. It might take paint in a different fashion. I probably should have taped these down because they are getting a little curly. So I have Titan Green Pale, and that was either Prussian Blue or Payne's Gray. I don't know which one I grabbed. And my yellow oxide I should put on my Jerry's shopping list. So that got a lot more yellow oxide than I kind of like. So I can scrape some back. So that drop was an accident. So all right, I'm going to leave that. It has some nice scrape marks. I like the color. It definitely has this kind of Y-shaped composition, but I know I'm going to do other layers over top of it, so I can get rid of that as need be. So I'm going to set that one aside for now. So this guy, keep this guy paler since that one got so much color on it. So maybe just a little bit of Titan Buff and leaving some areas white gesso. There. I'm going to stop there. It is a totally different feel. It does have some good texture, but it does have some plain areas where there's paper. Might be fun to come back into that with watercolor and see where the watercolor doesn't take and where it does take. So that's an experiment to have when it is dry. So that was really quick, down and dirty. Clearly I need to clean off the table. I've got paint all over me, but those are two different backgrounds that I will come back to in another Weekly Spark. So stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in. As always, like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. I mean, all the YouTube things that I'm learning about as I build my channel. But I'd love to have you subscribe and then see more videos as they get posted. So thanks. See you later.